ibanda mong ani sa pamahaw. Joining us.
Ay, naku, salamat.
Actually, sir, ang ano namin, pag-develop ng tourism, we want to give jobs to our people. The only way to have, lang sabihin natin, mga trabaho o mabigyan ng livelihood ang yung mga kasama namin dito is to develop tourism. And also to protect our environment. One of that is the mangrove. Kasi nung sir, parang yung Del Carmen ang sinabi nilang parang major capital ng ang mangrove cutting. Kasi yun ang ginagamit sa mga bakery noon. Ganon ang ginagawa. So, if you want to, parang bahin natin yung natin, wala nang mangrove cutting, wala na illegal fishing, so we have to develop another livelihood project. So that is tourism. So we developed Lagoon. So we provided this illegal fisher, illegal cutter. Sila na ang nag-manage yung parang sila ang makinista, nagdadala ng mga bisita doon sa Lagoon. So what they earn ngayon, yung sa nila pag dito sa tourism natin, it's not mas malaki ang kita nila pag mag-cutting, pero para yung naman nila, yung sarili naman nila,
konsensya nila.
Oo, at saka yung mga bata nila, yun ang kasi siyempre kung bata ka, iloloko ka ng mga kabataan mo, yung bugal-bugal lang, yung tatay mo, nag-illegal cutter, illegal fisher, gano'n. So, when they change their profession, when they change their job, parang malaki ang ng bata, at saka sa kanya nila.
Dignity of the family.
Dignity of the family. At saka sila mismo, nandun sila sa pamilya nila during night time. Kasi usually,
mga illegal sa gabi.
na. So they can join, they can help also their family. So isa yan sa our talaga, yung major purpose is to help the community. And sa community based kasi yung tourism namin. It's more of not individual but family working together.
Then you have done that in Lagoon.
Yeah, we have.
So we're off to Lagoon to experience that in a while.
Tapos sir, yun ang gagamitin din namin sa Mangrove, yung namin yung boardwalk. So when we prepare a project, when we submit projects, we intend na kailangan earnings siya para sa mga tao. At saka pag may repair, mag-repair na kami. Hindi na kami mag-antay sa national government again to the repairs kasi hindi naman lahat naman na project. Siyempre, it needs repair. I-rehab mo yun. So that is what we are thinking sa Mangrove kayo, yung i-open namin.
And that is a very large mangrove area. How big is it, Mayor?
Basta total sa Del Carmen, we have 4,871 hectares.
Almost 5,000 hectares of mangrove.
5,000.
Protected. And you will develop for community-based tourism.
Yeah, sir. Yun ang ginagawa namin. And we are inviting also the NGOs, the national and then yung mga corporations, yung mga malalaking kumpanya to share their resources to us. Yan na nga yung DBP sir na manager.
Oo, kasi
rin sila.
Ang dami mong partners dito and they're all here to support you. So,
yes, sir.
Mayor, advance congratulations sa gagawin nyo sa Mangrove. Congratulations sa nangyayari sa Lagoon. We cannot wait to see the growth of community-based tourism here in Del Carmen.
Mayroon pa kaming isa, sir.
Meron pa pala? Okay.
Yung sir, yung Siargao Peak. Highest mountain.
Ito naman, hindi lang puro na sa dagat.
Yes, sir. Doon din kami.
So may upland development
may upland kami, sir. Doon nga kasi nakita namin, we have given 2,000 hectares as watershed. Pero sad to say, yung iba pinutol na yung kahoy dahil wala naman nagbabantay. Kaya sabi namin, we will develop it as a tourism destination. So pag marami ng tao, wala na siguro magkakat. At the same time, we will reforest the forest.
So that is an ongoing project?
Yes, sir. We are doing that. We are finalizing, kasama na namin DNR at saka DPWH.
So it's also about ecotourism because you're protecting the watershed and you're giving livelihood to the community.
Yeah. Yun din namin. Community-based palagi kami para for all the families to enjoy. Kung mayroon earning doon, mag-enjoy naman sila.
Mabuhay kayo, Mayor Baby.
Maraming
salamat for that wonderful sharing this morning.
Yes, sir.
And congratulations again.
Yes, sir.
Dagang salamat. Karajao.
Marajao.
First of all, in Del Carmen, we advocate conservation first before tourism. The idea is to do sustainability and behavioral change before you do profit. By doing that, the approach that we are seeing, there is an opportunity for us to make sure that the people understand the benefit of doing tourism, conservation, and the impact to their own families. Because that's what we wanted to do. When we started doing this behavioral process, mauna nasulod, napasok natin.
Nasugdan ninyo ng letting the community understand what they're going through.
Yes, sir. And it's a process, and it's a very long process.
Yes.
That's why when we are talking to a lot of several local governments who wanted to understand how we did things, we always tell them, you have to commit. You have to commit first to your values. Is it something you really want to do? Something you really want to protect? Your own community, your own environment. Second is, when you commit, then you have to support it with policy and financial support. Policy will allow you to work within the framework of governance, and of course the financing will allow your own community to understand it's really a priority. At the same time, your development partners will see that because you are prioritizing this and you are communicating impact, and you are actually showing that there's really a difference between what was done before and now, then they would start to come in and support you. And that's where the beauty of partner-driven development comes in. Conservation is not a one-man effort, it's not a community effort, it's everybody's effort. So when we were advocating conservation, protection, preservation, proliferation of our biodiversity in Del Carmen and Siargao Islands, we were not communicating simply to our own people here. We were communicating to everybody else who has a stake in Siargao. Every businessman, every person, every Filipino has a dream that this community that they saw now, they can also show to their children later on. That we had a good time here, and now, 40 years later, it's your turn to enjoy what we enjoyed before. That was simply our dream.
Wow, such a beautiful explanation of a very complex matter but very meaningful, not only to you as a leader, community, but all the stakeholders in tourism. And kana makitaan gyud na nato karon sa Del Carmen, di ba, Vice Mayor?
Yes, sir. One of the innovations we did was in Sugba Lagoon. It's managed and protected by all the families of the whole barangay. Sugba Lagoon is under Barangay Kaub, and because of our approach that it's actually per family who has the obligation and the opportunity to profit from the conservation efforts we're doing, it became a barangay effort. So it's a whole of barangay approach for that one. And you can see the impact, not just in terms of income, but you can see impact in terms of education, in terms of health outcomes. Even if there is risk, they're willing to manage it because they understand.
Because they own it.
Because they own it. So there is co-ownership and there is co-creation of what we can do together.
So how many families are beneficiaries of what we have done?
Right now, we have 400 plus families in Kaub.
Wow.
And the same way, we did the same for our boatmen. Our boatmen are based on mainland of Del Carmen. So every boat, there are 3 families at least. The owner, the boatman, and the assistant of the boatman.
Yes.
So these 3 families, you try to multiply it with the number of boats at our highest, prior to the pandemic, we had 146. You have another 400 families that were impacted directly on a daily basis. So you see their income daily. And once they have that 8 to 5 job that they were, sort of having now, instead of the previous when they were doing fishing, the impact is that they now have time for their families. They see their children. So you see the impact in education again. This is the impact on health outcomes because now they see the children awake.
Integrity of the family.
The integrity of the family, they have time. And we did a study together with New York University. They're also one of our partners. They visit us annually. They send grad students from New York to Del Carmen to conduct poverty studies. And based on the results, we could see the difference.
So there's a marked difference.
There's a marked difference, especially on time spent looking for food. The initial studies that they showed us is that a lot of our fishermen and farmers spend 75% of their day looking for food. Imagine 75% of your time. The remaining 25% is what? Sleeping.
Rest, diba? They have to rest to work.
You have to rest, exactly.
Yeah.
So, what's the time for your family? A lot of us spend only 50% of our time trying to earn so that we have 25% for personal and family. They didn't have that luxury. What community tourism does is that it allows them that 25%.
And 25% is quality time.
It's quality time, it's personal time, it's time to think about other opportunities you can bring for your family.
Okay, wonderful. But the pandemic has come, and it's a reality that we have to face. We're going through it, we're trying to survive through it. Post-pandemic, what would be the direction now for you, for all of these communities that are reliant on tourism?
We're still gonna push for tourism. We're still gonna push for tourism. We see it as the best option, the fastest industry that can recover for tourism. People need to move, really, they need to recharge, to understand and find hope and value. And that's what we try to bring, the way we do our tourism. So we're gonna open more tourism destinations. We will open the first upland or mountain-based tourism in Siargao with Siargao Peak. That's our brand in Del Carmen. It supports and protects the watershed forest, the only watershed forest in Siargao. Hopefully that's enough to support the potable water requirements of the island with the technologies, of course, that comes with it. We are going to expand towards heritage tourism. Our church is one of the oldest in the country. We have the only pilgrim church in Siargao with a holy door. So if you go through there, you know, we have 500 years of Christianity. Sins will be forgiven for whatever you've been doing. So we have that. Then we have the university coming up. Our state college will soon become a university. Cross our fingers. We're hoping soon. And we host one of the first climate adaptation funded programs of the country, the Siargao Climate Field School for Farmers and Fisher Folks. So there's a lot of tourism-centric approach towards how we do things. It's just the difference is we do it with our communities.
Beautiful story, full of hope. I am very hopeful that, of course, tourism will also take us out of this pandemic. Thank you very much, Vice Mayor, for taking the lead. And thank you for sharing your story. I'm sure many can learn from what you're doing here in Del Carmen, in one of the most beautiful islands in the world.
Thank you, Yusek.
Daghang salamat.
Salamat Karajaw.
Salamat Karajaw. In a few minutes, we'll be off to Sugbal Lagoon through this huge mangrove forest you see behind me. Can't wait to commune with nature here in Siargao Island. After the 30-minute ride, we're finally here in the Sugbal Lagoon, the main activity area, and you see a diving board behind me, and there's a long line of individuals waiting for their turn to enjoy this part of the lagoon. Later, we'll be doing kayaking and paddling to enjoy the rest of our day here in Sugbal Lagoon in Del Carmen, Siargao Island. I am now in the biggest contiguous mangrove forest in the Philippines called the Del Carmen Mangrove Eco Park. This area is around 4,800 hectares with 3 varieties of mangrove trees. This is also the natural habitat of the largest living saltwater crocodile. Aside from educational and research activities, this whole area is also popular for biking and walking. Now in room number 10 of Bakao Bed and Breakfast, still here in Del Carmen, Siargao Island. This room is special because it was built specifically for President Diosdado Macapagal when he visited during his administration. In succeeding renovations of the house, the owning family, the Navarro family, decided to keep this room as part of history and its heritage. In fact, this is still the original bed the good president used during his stay here. So on our way back to General Luna after that wonderful trip around the mangrove forest here in Del Carmen, we decided to drop by the Church of the Lady of Mount Carmel to say thank you for a wonderful day.
We spent an entire day immensely enjoying the natural and cultural gifts of Del Carmen. What a blessing it was to learn about the local government's priorities towards sustainable and community-based tourism. And proof is our amazing experience at the expansive mangrove forest and Sugba Lagoon. Our visit in Siargao is still hitting high energy. In the next episode, let's have a taste of excellent eats, store hopping, and a bit of shopping. This is Mindanao Roadtrip with Art.
Mindanao Roadtrip with Art is all about responsible travel. On the road around the island, we experience the best of nature, host communities, and various brands of service that make for the most meaningful and comfortable travel.